Hello everybody and welcome back to the live stream. Today we're going to be talking about multiple tonguing, which is double and triple tonguing. There is no quadruple tonguing, although I guess you could try. But we're going to use the Arban's book, and although I guess maybe people are tired of it, or some people are talking about that Arban was a fraud or whatever, I don't know of a better place that has almost everything and a very good version of it. And the best part about the Arban's book is even if you should read the words in every book, but even if you don't read the words, the exercises are extremely good, valid to just try to make them sound good. So if you have an Arban's book at home and you want to follow along, I'm not going to show the Arban's book pages only because I'm not really set up well to do it. I could get my phone or something, but I think it's better if you follow along at home. You can also just download one off the internet. It's free now. The earliest edition that is, I forget who, I have it in front of me, but I don't want to mess with the pages. The earliest edition is free for download, and you can find it if you just look up, Arban's free PDF. It's public domain now. The most recent version is the Tom Hooton and Jen Murata version, and that version has different page numbers, but it's still a very good book. You just have to look up in the table of contents where to start. So in this edition, we're starting on pages 152. The notes start on page 155, but the words start on page 152. And it starts with triple tonguing. So we're not going to do that, but we are going to talk about it. And so, but let's start with some, like, how do you double tongue? I want to cover this sort of for all ages, for all levels, right? So let's start with just the basic, like, how do you do it? So single tongue is just T or ta or to or whatever you like to say, but it's a T, a sort of aspirated T sound, right? So ta 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 ta. Just do this first, right? Ta 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 ta. And now you do it. And then when you want to double tongue, we're going to use just slightly further back. So that's the tip of the tongue, right? We're just going to use right behind that, and we're going to say key, right? The same as TTT, key. I once heard, gosh, I can't remember who it was, say tiki torch was one of the things that we do. And I really liked that. I never forgot it, except I forgot who said it. But maybe somebody will remind me. Anyway, T and ki. You can also say ta and ka, and you can say tu and ku, but you're saying a T, letter T sound, and you're saying a letter K sound, right? I even have this very nice, oops, I don't know where it is, graphic for you right in the front. TK, right? And people really love to argue about what the vowel sound is after the consonant, right? Is it ta? Is it to? Is it t? Is it ti? Is it t? Is it tu? Is it let's see, what haven't I said yet? Whatever, right? And the same thing with the K. Is it ki? Is it ki? Is it k? Is it ka? Is it ka? Ka, right? And they say, oh, it's definitely not ta ka. It's definitely not to ko. It's definitely not, I don't know what else, tucka, right? Well, it definitely is anything you want it to be that works. And if you've never done this before, you need to just start by saying it a lot. Like a whole lot, like all the time, everywhere you go. So let me give you an example. While I take this back off the screen, we're going to mess with that in a little bit and take some of it out and put some of it in, and definitely with triple tonguing. But what we're going to start with is not the trumpet, but instead just saying this T and K sound back and forth all the time, everywhere I go, right? So if I'm driving to the grocery store, and if that's too fast, right, some people their brain confuses it, just go slower. And you'll notice I'm not trying to say the syllable that I would say ticket or tiki. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just trying to get the T to go and the K to go when I want it to go, right? So ticket, or taka, or right? Just breath. It doesn't have to even have a vowel, but just get those going. And it takes a long time before your brain just says, oh, okay, I get it, taka, right? I can do that all day. Same thing with triple tongue. ta-ta-ka, right? Two T's and a K. I don't have that one written up here, but I'll put it up there right now. And you could say, well, Gabriel, I heard that it was a T and a K and a T. Yeah, that's fine too. TTK and TKT are both fine. I'll put it up right now, right? So this one here is what the Arban's book says to do, and I find it to be easier because I get to do the thing I'm better at first, and then I do the thing I'm worse at. But for some people, that makes it a lot harder because now they get a limp in it where they go ta-ta-ka, 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 right? But again, with this method of just saying it all day, every day, I can even that out. And then when I actually play the trumpet, it's going to be so much easier, right? So, but you should really be able to do both. This one over here is really good for fanfare tonguing, for like da-da-da, da-da-da, like that, just one and then another note. It's really good for that and to just get it really perfect and really crisp and clean. And so I like it for that. And the other one, this one, I do for constant triple tonguing. So if I have to go, I can do that a lot easier than you can hear it, like, right? I'm starting to run out of speed, and it's weird because it's all in your head. I'm doing the same thing, right? But the emphasis is in a different place, and that messes me up. So I think you should be able to do both. But we're going to start with this one, the TTK, right? And again, you're just going to say it, and some people have trouble with the K. So if that's your trouble, then just start saying K, kick, 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 like you're going to say kick, kick, but not finish it. You're just starting a new one. Kick, 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 kick. And even though that's way too far back in the mouth, it is a K tongue, and that's what we need. I know Rex Richardson practices all his like Clark type scale exercises with every type of articulation as fast as he can go, including the K tongue. And so he has to go only as fast as the K tongue can go. So let's say he's playing Clark number 2, he's going and I can't do it. The triple tongue on the Clark number 2 is like breaks my brain, but he does it anyway. So there you go. That's you can practice just the K tongue to get that good. Then you just practice saying either TK, TKT, like ticka, 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 ticka all day, everywhere you go, under your breath, whatever. And then when you're trying to learn triple tonguing, you just go ticka, 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 everywhere you go, as fast as you can keep it straight. If you just try to go fast, you're going to get tongue-tied. You're going to go ticka, 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 and if that happens to you, go slower until it feels totally natural to just do the pattern, or and you can hit the K harder if that's the one that keeps, messing up on you. If you go then okay? So that's how you start. Just start doing that, and until you're flawless at that, you don't really need to do it on the trumpet. You can try if you want to, but it's just going to be just as confusing, and it confuses it more because on the trumpet you can't really tell what comes out of the bell. If you're doing it right, you can't tell if it's a T or a K. And so then if you don't know if it's a T or a K and nobody else can hear it either, you're not really sure if you're doing it right, okay? So that's how you start triple tonguing or double tonguing, multiple tonguing, right? Now, I'm going to show you how I approach triple and double tonguing to be so that I can do it constantly, right? And then we'll get into the Arban's book. Like I said, the Arban's book is great, and I consider it a really great source of at least, can you do this, if not a lot of knowledge. So, and it's progressive, so they tend to get harder as you go on, and I think that also offers an opportunity to grow. I can say, oh man, I can only get to number 4 today. Okay, that's great. Then tomorrow let's see if we can get to number 5. But all right, so let's do constant triple tonguing first. So I'm going to take away, we're going to start with double tonguing because that's easier, okay? So TK, oops, that's a lowercase k. Just tika, right? Not so bad, right? Tika. Just try to say it. Tika, tika. As fast as you can get them close together. Tika, tika, tika. Oops, I can do, let's see if I can do this. Tika, tuka, right? Tuka, 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 tuka. You can try that too, but if that's hard, if you get tongue-tied, just do one. Tuka. And then what we're going to do is add just another T. I'll put a dash, I guess. Right? Tukata, 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 tukata. That should be easy too, right? Tukata, tukata. I can even go faster somehow. Tukata, tukata, tukata. Okay? Now, we're going to reverse it. And this time we need to leave a space for the K that we're leaving out. Ta-taka, 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 right? Ta-taka. So that we're able to initiate double tonguing even if we're coming off of a single tongue or a long note, right? And we're leaving space. We're leaving this space right here for the other K that we have here. And remember, it was this other thing, right? And so we've done this one, and we've done the other one, and so now, can we get two of them, right? Tika-tika-ta, tika-tika-ta, tika-tika-ta. So let's write that, tika-tika-ta, 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 tika-tika-ta. And now you're on your way, because now you just have to add one, and I'll kind of show you the exercise. I haven't actually played any trumpet yet, so I'll show you what I do, but we're basically... Well, let's see if I can, I don't know if I can do paragraph text on this. No, I probably can't. I would love to, though. No, it's not going to let me. Shoot. Paragraph? No, there is no such thing. Okay, well, I'll stop looking for it. But basically, we're going to do, we have T's and K's, right? We have T's and K's, and I want to get a bunch of them strung together, but I'm just going to do one, and then some space, and then one, and then some space, and then I'm going to rearrange that, and then I'm going to try to do two and some space, two and some space. Then I'm going to try to do one and some space, and then two, right? So I'm sort of playing with a cell of, let's say 4 TKs in a row, right? So let's get that up on the screen, right? Maybe I should put a space. Now, you don't want them to be segmented this way, but this is just for our understanding, right? So, okay, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do this one right here. And these are all going to be blank. This is nothing, right? So let's try that out. This is a good time to point out that I can do one really fast, but that wouldn't fill it in evenly at this tempo that I'm kind of going taka 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 taka. That's not what I'm thinking of, right? So if I want, I can go taka 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 taka. But if I'm just trying to figure this out for the first time, I'm going to want to go slow, right? Maybe even slower than I need to go to necessitate double tonguing. But okay, so now I'm going to do taka ta, just this T, and these two, this taka and this ta. Right? That's all I'm going to do. I did one by accident there, but here we go. Okay, so now, and maybe I should start updating these so you know what I'm doing. So now I'm going to do all the T's, right? So, because that's not too hard, I can do that. So let's go taka, ta, 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 right? Here we go. Okay, not too bad. Now, can we maybe sneak one more in there? Can I do takata, right? So the same thing, but now I'm doing twice as many. And they're still separate, so I'm not doing two in a row. And again, if any one of these is a little bit erratic or not full or not clear, I want to work on that, right? But all right, let's keep moving. So now can I do two that are, if I add one more, I'm going to do 3 in a row, and that sounds like too much work. I might not be ready for that. So now I'm going to do 2 in a row, right? Like that. Taka taka ta ta, right? Let's try that. All right, not too bad. And I'm also practicing keeping my airflow going. A lot of times when people multiple tongue, it's easier for them at first to back off the air and just kind of use like just kind of tongue, and it's because they're trying to manipulate the whole motion. But that's going to be slow forever, and it's always going to be inaccurate and hard on your lip because you're not blowing. So you want to practice keeping your air like a long tone during all of these. And if that ever breaks down, just play a long tone and then try to single tongue on that long tone, and then add back in the K tongues and see if you can keep the air in charge, right? The air should be pushing the tongue back down so you don't have to pull it back down every time, no matter which K or T tongue you're doing. All right, so now you can probably guess what's next, but I like to do, instead of adding 3 in a row at first, that seems daunting. So I add 2, I keep it 2 in a row, and then I add 1 at the end, which is going to loop over 3 in a row. And remember, this was the same problem I had with triple tongue. Something about the way you think about it sometimes allows you to do something that seemed harder a different way, even though it's the same thing if you loop it, right? So we're just going to add a K to the end of this one here. And this is going to sound like one of your favorite songs. So here we go. Right? Okay, and now we're probably ready to just add in the last one, right? But if I want, I can try to trick my brain. I can just take the last one that we added away and put it where I said I didn't want it before, right? That might be a little harder, but still reasonable. And I'm just moving around notes so that I don't get stale or stiff or stuck on a thing. But if that's confusing for you, just play one note until you can get it, right? Eventually, we want to be able to play different notes while we double tongue, like not even just each one. And the Arban's book will take care of that for us, so we don't have to try to think of that. But all right, now we're ready for all of them. Okay, so here we go. And you can go faster by just blowing a little bit harder and kind of letting it do its thing, right? You want to focus on the air. If the air isn't blowing, it's not going to do work for you and you're going to slow down. But sometimes if you blow a little too hard, then it gets a little too legato. And Arban talks about that, not the air part, but just kind of if it's too dugga, 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 then it's not clear enough, even though that might be faster. And that's what we call doodle tongue, basically, right? That's where you don't really finish the tonguing. You don't totally cut it off, and it just goes in there, right? And you need that if you want to play the Barrio Sequenza. But, okay, now let's talk about triple tonguing and get these T's and K's off my face and make them twice as many T's. So, triple tonguing, like I said, I'm going to do TTK, TTK. Okay, this is our thing. I'll separate it like that so we can just see it. Again, you want it to be even. But, all right, so if I want to do this set of things the same as I did just a second ago, and I'll go super quick through it, but I'll put them up on the board still. So we're going to keep the T's, okay? So first I'm just going to play the first T of the three chunk cells, right? I know that's boring, but I want to make sure that my air and my tonguing is good. If my tonguing hits too hard, is too explosive, that's going to make it hard for me to cycle back around. Because remember, I have to do 2 T's in a row now. Somewhere I have to do 2 T's. And that's actually how I'm going to start. So I'm going to go TT and TT, right? So we're not even doing the Ks yet. So, but we're keeping it. And I like to overlap my single tongue and triple tongue. But if you, again, go slow until you know which one you're doing. Don't be confused, otherwise you're not really learning anything. Okay? So we're going to just do the TT part of triple tonguing. And I'm doing TTK, so it's the two T's first. Then eventually I want to put a K in somewhere, right? But maybe I take the T's back away. So maybe I go ta, kata, 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 kata. Again, it sounds like a bad double tongue, but it can be helpful to think about this way and make sure you can do it. Forgot to write it. Ta, ka, ta. Oop, wrote a Z. Ka. Right? And that's hard to do because it's hard to start a K out of nothing. But that would actually be a good exercise to do with, that would be the just T's exercise rhythm if you are doing the other triple tongue, right? Ta, 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 right? So, but we're not doing that. So ta, ta, ka, ta, ka, ta. I think that's the hardest one to do, but if you master it, then everything gets easy after that. So now I'm going to go ta, ta, ka, ta, 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 ka, ta, 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 ka, ta, like we did before. Let me write that. Ta, ta, ka, ta. It's hard to write with just one hand. Okay. Now I'm just going to add a T to that. And now I could just finish it off with the last K, and I'd be constantly triple tonguing, right? But I can take a couple of steps differently. I can flip-flop it, right? You can do anything you want with these and just kind of whichever T's and K's you think you want to do next, as long as they're kind of adding up to something eventually, right? But so I could do ta-ta-ka-ta, ka-ta-ta-ka-ta, ka-ta-ta-ka-ta, which is just the same thing we did, but now over here. Over here. But I'm just going to go for it, right? I think if you feel good about this one, then you just put that last K in, and we're going slow enough. I could be single tonguing this, so I'm just getting the coordination. Then I'm going to speed it up as I continue to go. So here we go. And you might have heard one of them got away from me in there, but so that's triple tonguing, right? You just build it in that way. And some people get confused when I say build it, but that's what I mean, is just progressively do more and more of the parts of it, but you have to have sort of a system in place that will eventually get you where you want to go. Now, why do you want to do that? Well, because a lot of, why do you want to triple tongue in this way? Well, because you need to for cornet solos, you need to for a lot of orchestral literature. There's a ton of stuff where constant triple tonguing, sometimes in a scalar pattern, sometimes just one note at a time, sometimes on one note for a long time, is necessary. And so, and it's one of the things that people are afraid to work on because they're not very good at it. But like I said, just start by saying it all day, every day, while you walk around doing other things. You'll get really good at it really fast. This is just how my mind works. So when I was learning this, probably at 7 or 8 years old, all I could do was say it. And so I just said it for a few years. But it won't take you a few years. It'll take you probably, I would guess, about a month of just saying it and trying it a little bit on the trumpet before you're pretty solid at triple tonguing. And maybe not fast yet, but then you'll get fast by learning to use your air. Okay? So that's how you do it. Now, how do you work on it? Well, you get the Arban's book out. The Arban's book is great. And it starts with triple tonguing. So we're going to start with triple tonguing in there. And it starts with one note at a time. And you should read what he says, I think. There's a lot of good information in there. But again, don't get too serious about the syllables or whatever. And if he says something you don't like, then just forget that part. Or maybe think about it later when you have tried it a little while and see if it makes more sense. But it starts off one note at a time. Then we do one note at a time, but change on the last quarter note. Then we do one note, we change on the first 2 eighth notes, which that's tricky. Then we do one note at a time per triplet, right? And then we do 3 in a row. So he's doing the same thing we did, except he sort of starts by saying, you should figure this out first. And then he starts lengthening it. And then he starts making it really wacky. So these can really take it out of you, but we'll do a few. And what I like to do with all of these is I start with single tongue. Well, it depends on what I'm working on, but I want to overlap my single tongue and my triple tongue. So I'm going to start with single tongue, then I'm going to do triple tongue the way that we just did. Then I'm going to do triple tongue the way that we didn't try yet, the TKT version, right? Which I guess if somebody really wants me to, I can do a video on that. But it's the same video I just made on how to build it, but I just start with the T's in a different place, right? And so you can try to figure that out. But what was I saying? Oh, so I go single tongue, triple tongue TTK, triple tongue TKT, and then back to single tongue again. And I do that one per bar so that it's all overlapping. So that way I have consistency of my articulation. Now, if I'm going for speed, I pick a triple tongue and I go for it, right? Because I can't single tongue as fast as I can triple tongue, but I should be able to triple tongue as fast as I can as slowly as I can single tongue, right? So, all right, let's try this out. And so that's what I'll be doing for these. And if I do something weird, I'll tell you afterwards. So I got a little confused in some of those and did like 2 single tongues in a row, and then sometimes I did TKT instead of TTK first, but I just try to vary it up. And you could do the whole exercise one thing. That's a lot simpler for your brain, but it saves me time to do it this way, although if I do it wrong, it doesn't. So let's do the next one. And this one I'll go a little faster, and I'm just going to do TTK on this one. And he makes you go up to high A a lot, and that's important because a lot of people can triple tongue just fine in the middle and low registers, but they can't triple tongue at all above the staff. A different subset of people with some overlap, like me, can't multiple tongue below the staff, but they're fine sort of in the middle of the staff and above the staff. And like I said, like me, I have trouble above the staff and below the staff, but in the staff, it's fine. So luckily, that's normally where we do it, but you want to practice all the way up to probably high C or D, at least double tongue and hopefully triple tongue, and then as low as you can go. All right? So let's do some more. I'll do some more overlapping ones, but let's do another one. This next one I'll do TKT, because the K will be in the hardest place. It goes ta-ka-ta-ta-ka-ta-ta, ta-ka-ta-ta-ka-ta-ta. So let's try to do that. Ooh, so the downward one got me more than the upward one, and that sort of makes sense because you're losing compression, and your tonguing is dependent on that compression that you're generating when you're going up to push it back down. So when we went downward, I didn't have as much compression on the changed note, and so my tongue kind of got stuck. It didn't want to go, and so I need to work on that. But let's keep going. Now we get to do 3 in a row, And this one I'll try to alternate again in some way. So see if you can tell which ones are which. I won't remember, so I won't be able to tell you, but maybe I'll remember right after and tell you. So I did some triple and single and other triple tonguing in there. I don't remember exactly which, but you can usually tell my single tongue right away when I start doing it because it has a little different bounce to it. And I'm almost better at the triple tonguing than the single tonguing in those kinds of things because I can make it more fluid. But that also means that my K tongue probably sounds different. And I'm anxious to listen to this video. I haven't recorded myself doing triple tonguing in a long time, so I would like to hear what it sounds like. But okay, they go on like this. And what you can do if you're starting off, stick with these until you can do them, right? If you've gotten pretty good at triple tonguing, but you want to be a little better at it, let's say. So you're maybe in college and you've been triple tonguing and you do it pretty well when you need to, but you wish it was more even maybe, or you just wish that it didn't wear you out so much. Well, then the next couple of pages are for you. And I like the ones that look different than they have been before. I mean, each one is different, but there's usually a line of delineation between like expanding on these exercises and then doing something entirely new. And so what we haven't done yet is change notes every quarter note. And so let's go up to that one. We also haven't done 4 in a row, so we'll probably be doing those too. But this is number 8 now, and this one changes every note, or every 3 notes, I guess, every beat. So here we go. For these, I usually, after those first ones, now I'm just triple tonguing, and I'm just choosing one way to do, but I still do both TTK and TKT, but just only one at a time per exercise. So you can hear near the low register, I start to get a little in trouble there. And again, I need to practice that if I want to get better. But so now that's another thing that we can do is change notes while we play. Now we can do 4. Number 9 is 4 in a row. So is number 10, but it changes notes in the middle. So I'm going to do number 10. But I like these ones because they go to quarter notes for a bar. So it really gives you a chance to check on your production, make sure you're still blowing, make sure your sound is still good. It's not just rat-a-tat machine gun tonguing. And it gives you a sense of musical line that it's easy to ignore when you're just focused on the tonguing. So I like these, number 9, number 10, number 11, they all do this. So here we go. That's only half of it, but you get the idea. So now, if you're already really good at these, it's good to, if you're working on this like long term, then it's really good to just do these from number 1 as far as you can go, maybe once a week, right? Just to check up on it. You'd be surprised how bad you get at something that you haven't practiced, even though you were really good at it the last time you worked on it, right? So it's really good maintenance to just do these simple ones up until, maybe, I think it gets really complicated number 15, 16. That's where it gets really bad for me. But also remember that these have a cost, a physical cost, a mental cost, and it's really hard to do a lot of these. I used to try to do like a section a day of the Arban's book and just get as far in as I could. And inevitably on this section, I get really tired around, well, numbers 16, 17, 18. And maybe that's why I find them challenging. But it's just a lot of playing, actually, right? And a lot of percussive playing, right? So you're beating up your lip a little bit with each tonguing. I'm trying to do that as little as possible, but there's still some cost there. So don't worry if you need to rest a little bit when you're playing through these sections. But this is where I think it starts to get a little more advanced. And you should still practice this, even if you're a beginner or intermediate sort of triple tonger here. But if you're a professional, this is kind of where you start really getting challenged. And I find that some of them feel really impossible, especially in the double tonguing section, actually, which we haven't done any of, so let's try to get there. But let me do a couple of these first. So what I would do as a professional is actually just jump around and look at the page, right? And sort of say, all right, I think I could do this. So I'll say that about number 15. I think I can do this. Okay, great. Then prove it, right? Prove to yourself that you can do that that's actually easy for you. And either you find out you're right, and so then you don't have to do any more of that page, or you find out you're wrong, and you practice the page, right? So let's see which one I am today. So I got it. I'm sensing a little bit of inequity in my triple tongue. Sometimes it wants to go a little faster. And that's something to be aware of, and just get your metronome out and put it on. I really should be doing all these with a metronome, but I know people don't like to hear the beeping metronome on stream, so I'm not doing it for that reason. But maybe when I shut off the stream I will. So that went well. So I don't necessarily, if I think 16 and 17 look a lot like that, then I might skip them and go to the next page. 17 doesn't look like that, but since I know the next page has just more of what that is, we're just going to go to the next page. So now I look at this page and I go, yeah, there's some stuff in this page I don't think I can just do, okay? And this is where it gets really physically exhausting, so make sure you're resting. But number 20 and number 21 are opposites of each other, right? One is the first note is lower than the notes that the rest of the triplet, and then number 21 is the first note is higher. That's the one that really gets me. And you want to make it even sounding, but you also want to bring out the different note, right? So it should be for a musical reason, right? Now, if you want, you can try to go for evenness because that's harder. Because it's easy to go, but why not go for something in between? Something that sounds even but has a volume change that makes the moving notes come out more, right? So that's what I'm going to go for. But it's really easy to also want to go really slow on these because, well, you're concentrating and trying to do all that. So go as slow as you need to, but I'm going to try to keep my pace here. This is a pretty slow triple tongue, but we're going for clarity and just like agility. And then once I know the exercise, maybe I can try it faster. Let's try it. Let's try number 20. So I had to do some reading there. Sorry about that. But you can see it's hard. For me right now, the C's are kind of jumping out, right? So let's do it again. And I'm going to go a little slower at first. And I'm going to really try to even it out. And then I'm going to do that passage that I practice a little bit faster. So we're starting to get that, right? Starting to get the bottom notes to come out more, and I'm doing sort of a digga on the top notes. So I'm doing this for sort of, I might use this musically in some other context. I'm thinking of Saxa number 38, for instance. Great etude, in the same key, actually. Is that right? I think that's right. But okay, now let's try 21, where it's the opposite architecture. You can see why this is the one that gets me. So that means I know the ones that look like this, those are the ones I need to really practice. And you can see how I'm doing it. I just slow it down. I make sure that if I want clarity, I make sure I get that. If I want sort of to muddy it a little bit so that it goes into the background, then I make sure I get that. But whatever it is, I practice that, and then even in the same breath sometimes, just go right to the fast version, because I want to memorize the sensation of it and how that turns into the sound I want. Okay, so let's skip to the double tonguing section, which isn't too far away from here, I think. Should be 175. Yeah. And I neglected to mention, as you get through the exercises in both these sections, there are these little etudes and theme and variations that actually are really nice little pieces. But again, he's telling you, okay, work on the mechanics of this, but then don't forget, this is music that you're doing, right? So make sure you apply it musically. All right, so what are we going to do in the double tongue section? Well, same thing, but now we only have single and double tongue, right? There is no quadruple tongue. I guess that would be ta-ta-ka-ka, and there's no reason to do that, right? So he says tu, ku, which a lot of people interpret as tu and ku, or tu and ku, or like I said, ti and ki. It's the same thing as what we did in the triple tongue. So just do what works there. And we're just going to go ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ka-ta-ka-ta, ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, ta-ka-ta-ka-ta, right? Just alternating double and single tongue so that those overlap. And then when I want to go fast, I'll just double tongue. Okay? There is a case to go KT, like reverse double tongue sometimes, to be able to start with the K. Some people like to do soldier's tale like that. Some people have certain excerpts that they go, well, if you start this with a K, then you end on a T, and that sounds better. If you want to do the tricks like that, then you need to practice it. I prefer to just get my single tongue to be fast enough where if it was going to be like that, then I just single tongue it. And this is why my single tongue can be fast. Again, I'm focused on the air, and if the air pushes the tongue down, then my single tongue can be really, really fast. So I'm going to practice my single tongue here and then overlap it with my double tongue so that no matter what speed I want to go, I can do some mixture of T's and K's probably, and maybe just straight T's to play whatever passage there is. So, all right, here we go. So you might imagine this is going to be a lot like the triple tonguing section. And he's just going to find ways to add more notes in a row for us. Number 80 has 6 notes in a row. He's going to change the notes faster. So number 81 has only 2 notes per pitch, right? 2 tonguings per pitch. So da-ga-da-ga-dum, da-ga-da-ga-dum. So it's going to be a lot the same. And like I said, if you're intermediate, this is a good set to you'll memorize these quickly and just go through them once a week or once a month or something like that. Make sure you can still do them really well. And if you're a beginner, this is where you start, and you need to work on these until they're really good, right? Even if they're at a slower speed than you probably can single tongue, it's the coordination that matters, and that can speed up over time. So get it right first and then speed it up. But so if I'm a professional, I'm trying to improve, or I feel like I'm just like a really good, really advanced student, right? Which is how I feel about me. I'm not really a professional trumpet player. I'm an advanced student because I'm still I learn new stuff in the same old books all the time because I just didn't pay attention the first time. So what am I looking for? Stuff that I know is going to be challenging for me, but if I see stuff that I think I can do that, I need to prove it to myself also, because those are the things that I'm thinking I can do, that when I see them in a on a gig sight reading, I'm like, oh yeah, and then I can't do it, and I'm like, uh-oh, right? So one of those for me is changing notes while double tonguing. I'm positive I can do that, but, well, can you? So let's do 91 on page 178 and see. This one goes like that. Let's see if my fingers and my tongue can like be coordinated in that way, because that's really what I'm going to mess up, I think. So I was really doing terrible on number 92, which I switched to, and so I decided to practice it a different way, right? I had to slow down and like figure out fingerings for a second, because apparently I need to practice my diatonic F scales or modes. I guess I was really bad on like just natural minor, which you know, stuff you don't practice, it gets worse. But then I said, all right, look, I can do one at a time, I think. And I'm still working on, I want to ingrain good habits, right? So if the fingerings, if the architecture of the thing is getting me, I need to slow down. But I want to work on my double tongue, and I'm able to do that really fast. So one way to slow down is to do it in chunks. And we talk about that learning pieces. So me just learning number 92 now, having not done it in quite some time, I know what it is, but I wasn't ready to play it. So I played one beat at a time, and that way my double tongue was getting worked on, but I was also actually playing the right notes because my brain could handle the half-time chunks that I was doing, right? Full speed, but take twice as long to get to the next chunk, right? If that makes sense. So the other kind of thing that happens in here that everybody needs to work on usually is that it goes back to the same note. Same like triple tonguing, but it seems to be harder because it's harder on your chops to, when you go you get more time on the same note than on the different note. But when you do double tonguing, it goes back and forth much faster. And so these, to be accurate, to sound good, to be musical, to even just get through it sometimes is a challenge. And that starts, well, scale in third starts in 94, and that's the only place that you ever see that, so I think that's worth mentioning. I do that a lot, just not usually tonguing. I guess we could try it, but I'm interested in number 95, so I'll do them both. But 95, it goes, he wants you to start with a K, ka ta ka ta ka ta ka ta. I just start with two T's, ta ta ka ta ka ta ka ta, so that I don't have to get confused about starting on a K tongue. I should probably practice it in case I need to do it, but like I said, if my single tongue's fast enough, then I know that I'm going to be able to go ta ta ka ta ka ta ka ta with more accuracy and a nicer sound. So, but here's 94, scales in thirds. I always hate this one because it doesn't sound right to me. I need to practice it. to really learn what it sounds like. That's what I'm going to mess up, so I'm not going to try that one. But then he starts doing arpeggios and then just like these little theme and variations again, where it's really challenging. And so they will really take it out of you. So make sure you take some rest. Yeah. And so that's where I'm going to leave it today. The Arban's book will continue to challenge you, and if you get all the way through all of this stuff and none of it's a challenge anymore, then you're Al Vizzuti. And if you think about the way that he sounds, he can do all this stuff because he practiced it. Not necessarily out of the Arban's book. I think he made it up sort of like off the dome, but it's not hard to kind of create your own exercises that sound just like Arban's because they're just basic components of music, right? It's like, well, yeah, can I double tongue a scale in thirds? Yeah, let's try that. Oh, can I do it in can I do all the diatonic modes of that key? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that would be hard. Can I do just like every note to every other note in a diatonic key? Yeah, let's try that. That's number 95 kind of, right? So, and then the arpeggios, I might be able to try this one actually. I sort of know this one. I'll go super fast so it'll be silly and then I'll finish. Like I said, stupid. But challenge yourself. I'll always try to go a little faster than you can by the end of your section, right? You might be surprised to find that you actually can go pretty fast, and then you have a little more confidence. And if you don't do well, you knew you weren't going to do well because you knew you couldn't go that fast, right? So then you don't really lose much. So it's kind of a freebie, like just try that out and see. And that, except for me messing up some fingerings, that went pretty well. I didn't know if it would go well or not, especially downward double tonguing is not great usually for me. So this has been multiple tonguing. It's a little longer than I anticipated, but it always is, isn't it? And so yes, you're welcome, Thomas. I'm happy that you caught the end of the stream. Go back and watch the rest of it, and this should be a pretty comprehensive guide to using the Arban's book to work on your double tonguing and triple tonguing. And I wish I had like a really cool, like my old Kentucky Home Variations by Rimmer or something, but maybe I'll do that on another stream and actually work it out when I'm supposed to be working on it for a concert or something. All right, so until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you then.